Welcome back to the Elite Brand Clarity Formula Blueprint series. Today, we are going to jump right in with the first of 6 steps for evaluate your core. And again, this is the first pillar for each part. And again, this is the first pillar in the 6-part series. Each video will build on the last, so it's definitely advisable to watch in order. So you get this huge idea. I mean, a big idea. It is the idea. And you think this could be it. This is the business I want to start. I see a need. I know what I could do. I can solve some really big problems. I can do this. The excitement to starting a business or the excitement to rebrand when you realize that who you thought you were supposed to serve is different from who you know you should be serving can leave us with a lot of frenetic energy. And at times, it can overwhelm the senses to say, okay, how can I stay grounded while still being effective? This is why, as much as I love an enthusiastic entrepreneur, I always start with one key question. And it helps women to pause, reset, and assess, is this a shiny toy syndrome, or is this the thing that I know I am called to do? And this question is, are you passionate about this? If they can't tell me how passionate they are about something, then it might not be worth it. In fact, I will say it is not worth it. If you don't understand what it will take to build a successful brand and business, then you won't be fully invested. And so many women that I start to work with cannot articulate what they are truly passionate about. And so then they start doing things like getting on chat gpt to tell chat gpt to help them create something, or they start doing things like phoning a friend who has never started a business, or worse, they start doing copycat branding because they can't quite figure out what their brand message is and what they intend to do in this next stage of life. It makes sense. When we are learning new skills, when we are growing and evolving, it takes some time to think, is this my next best right step? And what tools and resources do I need to accomplish my goals? So today, that's why it's so important for you to step into evaluating your core so that you can start serving everyone else. One thing that I tell women that I partner with is, if you are not sold on your passion and sold on your why, then no one else will be either. No one else will be invested in your brand or solutions if you are not fully committed to it. This is why the side hustle mentality is difficult for a lot of experts and creatives. It's because we do want to put the fullness of everything we know how to do into one experience that not only compensates us, but serves in the way that we know we are intended to serve. So rather than examining other people's gap, which we're going to do next, we need to start thinking about solutions that feel authentic to who we are and how we intend to help. It starts with you, a knowing of what you see and what you need to see in you to stand out from the crowd. This is especially true if you know you are trying to make a lot of business moves quickly. So, the 4 pillars to evaluating your core, we are going to do in order. The first one is your brand history. Your brand history is all about you, because how you show up in the world is how other people will see you. And whether we realize it or not, subconsciously, we are making 35,000 different decisions. That includes how we shop, when we shop, and why we shop. So understanding your brand history will give you insight into how you can develop your brand and the experiences you do or don't want your ideal clients to have when they interact with you and your services. These are simple questions that will assess who you are and how your buying habits show up in your brand. And they are super easy, and the answers are very specific. Questions to start asking yourself are: what brands do I naturally value? And why? Why do those brands matter to you? What are my memories of these brands? I talk a lot about the trip to Macy's because growing up, even though the 4-hour round trip to Macy's did not feel great, a trip to Macy's also meant some other things. It meant I got to go on dates with my mom. It meant that I got to eat at a really fancy restaurant. So while the destination was Macy's and the imprint was Macy's, it is the experience that surrounds the trip to and from Macy's that I carry in my heart. And then, of course, Macy's is like the first store that I feel like an adult when I'm going shopping in. Regardless of how good or bad their product is, or how good or bad the customer service is that day, in me is the shopping experiences from the Macy's trip. And that's why I'm loyal to that brand. What memories do you have about the brands that you are loyal to? The next thing you want to think about is, how does this brand make me feel special? Your clients will want you to make them feel special. So ask yourself, what makes me feel special as a shopper? And then the last thing you want to think about is, do I want to attract people like me? Do I want my clientele base to be who I fundamentally am, or am I selling to someone different? Deep down, you've got to ask yourself, how well do I know me? This is worth the time. This exercise is so invaluable. When you spend this type of time with you, you begin creating your competitive edge. In learning you, you will also learn about your ideal clients, even if they don't match your buying persona and your habits. But what I have found is, most of the women that I partner with are their own patient zero. They are their own buyer and they don't realize it. Some other things that you'll want to consider for you, your buyer persona, your buyer, your me avatar, is, what do I value above everything else? Do I value my time? Do I value my money? Do I value high quality resources? Do I value accessibility? Get in your mind, get in your shoes. What is your mindset when you ask for help? How easily do you trust brands? Who are your trusted allies when you're trying a new product? And what makes a brand worthy to you? Once you've done this, start creating your me avatar. Your About Me avatar will influence not only how you build your brand, but also whether or not you decide, you know what, this is a really great starter avatar for my buyer persona. In my case, my buyer persona and my persona naturally is, I'm a little bit more introverted. I don't like going into busy shops. I don't. If a website looks too chaotic, I will click out of it. I'm also someone who leans to more of the creative side rather than the analytical side. So I look for brands that have a lot of color because colors attract me. In terms of organization, I'm extremely organized. So I am not the person who is going to rifle through the racks. When I go into a store, I want to go in, find exactly what I need, and walk back out. I'm also very much a rational shopper. And last, I buy with my emotions because we all do. But first, I say, is this a rational purchase? Do I already own this thing? Should I buy it today? I am an active seeker of knowledge about the brands that I am shopping for. And I, however, I might take a risk. I might try the new toy or widget or a new thing if I think it's going to improve my quality of life and the investment is not too big of a sticker price. So when you think about you and your buying habits, Where do you fall on each one of these spectrums? Take a few moments and consider how that does or does not align with the brand you're building and the people you are trying to attract. The question is, am I my avatar? Like I said, a lot of the women that I partner with find out that they are their patient zero, they are their ideal client avatar, but what they think is the thing is not. So, for example, one of my ladies that I partnered with did not realize that she was a relationship coach, but moreover, she specifically wanted to talk about marriages. Every single person that she interacted with was either married or separated. She did not actually work with singles to help them to be married. She helped married people continue to be married, or she helped people going through a divorce figure out how to rebound from the marriage. So, do you see the difference? And yes, she's married. She falls into so many of the other demographics that we talked about, but it wasn't that it was specifically a male or female. That didn't matter. It could have been a same sex couple, it could have been the man who approached her about it, or the female. So, when you're building all of this out, so often we get stuck in the ideal avatar, and there might be those smaller nuances that separate you from everyone else in your industry. Ask yourself, how closely does my me avatar match the brand identity that I intend to build? What are my core values? And what are my non starters, not only as a shopper, but as a business owner? We lean to our core values and forget that there are things that attack our core values. What things attack your core values, and how can you make sure that you don't do those things while you are building or rebuilding your brand? And last, think about what's worth you investing in. When it comes to your buyer persona, how do you decide what's worth you investing in? When you come to your shopping habits, how do you decide what is worth you investing in? What is your Richter scale, your personality for how you make these types of decisions? Explore who you are and how you do what you do. Most of these things are on autopilot. Pillar number 2 is uncover your expertise. And yes, you are an expert. Please be the expert that you are. This is not about taking anything from your expertise or your credentials, especially if your expertise or credentials matter for your brand. For example, you're a physician. People need to know you went to medical school, or you're an attorney and you intend to practice some level of law as a part of your service. People want to know that you've got that JD Esquire title. Keep in line with those, and let's figure out what other areas of expertise you have that may not have come through formal training. They might be those hard-won skills that you are now an expert in. When you're looking at your expertise, you want to ask yourself, is this something I'm a keen amateur about, or am I an enthusiastic expert? And the way to tell which one you are and where you fall on the spectrum is enthusiastic experts will continue to increase their expertise over time. They go to industry events, they do continuing education. They make sure that they are staying up on what's going to happen next. They educate and continue to educate themselves on industry trends and then become a visionary so that they can stay ahead of the curve. This is how you know you're passionate about something, is when you don't mind continuing to study it for those 10,000 hours that they say it takes for us to be an expert. I am what I would call a keen amateur chess player. I love playing chess. I'm passionate about the strategy that goes behind chess, but am I going to be a grandmaster anytime soon? Absolutely not. I do not study the art and science and methodology of chess to ever be a chess champion. I will not be the next Bobby Fischer. However, this is a part of my brand, not the thing that I sell, but it's a storyline that fits in well when I talk about how I create strategy. When you're thinking about your expertise, because if you are like me, you've got a lot of varied passions, how can you make sure to separate the things that you're enthusiastic about versus the things you're just keen on learning because you love learning? Then ask yourself, what comes effortlessly to me? What can I speak about knowledgeably without preparation? I cannot talk about chess without preparation, except for the last time I lost a game. The next thing you want to do is decide on the simple, easy spectrum where your expertise falls. This is a great exercise for those of us who are experts and creatives who are multi-passionate. So the example that I'm going to give you today, let's say you are interested in opening an after school facility and you want to create a strategy around that. The things that you believe are easy and simple for you would go in that top right quadrant. Things like introducing play in the classroom and creating curriculum. Maybe what's a little more difficult, but still easy enough, is talking to parents. Maybe the harder things are things like planning trips, even though they're simple. When you figure out how to rank your expertise, the golden nuggets of how you should serve will rise to the top, because what is easy and simple for you to do means it will be easy and simple for you to replicate and explain to your ideal clients. So take a few moments and figure out, with all of the range of my expertise, what things are easy and what things are simple. This is also why I recommend to all of the ladies that I partner with to do a 2-week content creation challenge. And to dive in really quickly on that, it is where once you've committed to your brand, you do a pilot exercise where you generate a new piece of content on the thing that you believe you're supposed to be selling today or next, and say, can I write one piece of new content every day for 2 weeks? Now I have a full template on this because it's very specific action steps that help build the message. And ultimately, this becomes one of their first assets when you're done with their full brand strategy. The next thing, because again, we are multifaceted creators, is think about the 3 parts of you. And I designed this specifically after reading a book called Refuse to Choose, because so often we think we have to eliminate so many things from our lives, and that might not be the case. It just might be we can't sell everything that we want to sell. So the 3 parts of you are broken down into the 3 areas that I recommend you commit to fueling and feeding. And the first are your gifts. These are the things that you will gift to the world. I am a musician. I gift the world my music. I do not anticipate compensation for that gift. However, I am grateful if it happens. The next thing is what I intend to protect. These are the skills where I might be extremely enthusiastic about it. I do not desire to share expertise on. Or maybe I am going to be an enthusiastic amateur or a keen amateur, and it's just that hobby that I love, but I intend to get no value from it other than it gives me a creative outlet. So things like my sewing. I will make all of my clothes, but I will never sell any of them. And nor will I gift any clothes to anyone either. The third one is your passion, and this is what you intend to get paid for. Once you separate these 3 areas and take some time to flush things out, make sure that you have things in each spot. This is how to prevent burnout. This is how you make sure you reduce injury to yourself. It creates a balance as a business owner when you know you have something that you can hold to you. That is yours. When I first started my business many years ago, I was a baker. I started a I started a vegan bakery. After about 2 years, I was burnt out because what I realized is I was trying to get compensated for the thing that I originally had just intended to gift the world. I tried to turn my gifts into a passion and it did not work. And I closed down fast. It was not for lack of clients coming in because people loved my baking. They had been eating my cakes for years. It was I was not passionate enough about not only the baker's hours, but what it required for me to continue to be an enthusiastic expert, which meant taking more pastry classes and going to culinary school and doing all of these other things. It was not what I was passionate enough about. So I closed it down. And now I have returned to baking as the thing that I gift. Once you have gone through all of these exercises, you should then be ready to complete your me avatar. What is your gift or gifts to the world going to be? What is going to be your shield? This is what's going to protect you on the days where business feels hard or building this brand doesn't feel quite right. What are you going to sell? What are you going to be passionate about? What enthusiastic expertise do you not mind sharing with the world? The best part about building your me avatar is that there is something you get to do with it. You get to put it on your About Me page on your website. So this is a sample of mine. Again, music saved my life because I talk about being a musician. Entrepreneurship helped me reclaim my voice, which is how I help women today. And then I give a brief overview of the enthusiasm of my expertise. Every moment from teaching school to leading global teams led me to this. And then you can learn more. Notice what I did not include. I did not include my shield. It belongs to me. Outside of those of you who are watching this video, no one will know that I am a sewer. No one will know about the craft room. And that is by intention. That is my shield. That is the thing that I will protect because it does not belong to the visible eye. This is the balance of building a brand, being visible, and still respecting your privacy. This is how you do it. This is the secret sauce to making sure that while you build a brand, you don't lose parts of you. Pillar number 3, find your gap. I will be the first to say, as a woman who is 5'1", that I will never have been a great basketball player. There were no amounts of hours or gifts that I could have built that would have added the extra 10 inches to my height. That was simply not in the cards. So when you are thinking about this exercise that we're going to do next, do not think that these are limiting beliefs. This is a fact check of everything you are capable of and everything you believe you are capable of and the things that may not be your gift or talent. And that's okay too. We are all on this world to do something different. I, for one, was not created for basketball. Contrary to that, however, I grew up doing gymnastics and dance. I also have the frame, the body build for gymnasts. And had I decided to be a competitive athlete, this would have been ideal. Most of our women athletes who are Olympians are somewhere between 4'7" and 5'1". They have this frame. So this would have been perfect if I had dedicated the 10,000 hours to being a fabulous gymnast. I, of course, did not. Therefore, when you are thinking about your gap, do not think about these are things that I'll never do or never learn. Think, are there things that I feel underqualified for if this is where I want to be enthusiastic? And how can I fill that gap? What action steps do I need to take? Is it a skill set that matters to how I'm building my brand and how I intend to serve? Is it a skill set that's worth me learning or hiring for? Does what I want to do next, does this gap that I think I see align with gaps that are in the industry? And if so, how can I fill it? Or is it something that our industry might never be able to fill? Who would be a good person to learn from if I see it might have been a gap they had and I see they no longer have it? And then ask yourself, what will be how I spend most of my time if I decide that this gap is okay? If I come to the conclusion that these gaps that I have uncovered are worth it gaps, because there are some gaps that are worth it, how else could I spend my time to add value to me, my business, my brand, and the people that I serve? What is your level of enthusiasm for closing these gaps versus accepting them as they are? Pillar 4, discover your pain versus passion threshold. Recently, I was doing an interview with one of my clients, and we were talking about some of the challenges in marketing because so many coaches talk about, oh, just attack the pain points and speak to their pains. And what she and I both came to realize, and one thing that I've tried to do, is so many times those marketing ploys end up being manipulative, or they end up re-triggering people in all the wrong ways. And that's not what I wanted for my brand, and that's not what she wanted for her brand either. So we had to figure out, how do you intelligently and authentically but respectfully address pain points without re-triggering, so that you can communicate your passion in a way that is thoughtful, but also a signal that someone should and could use your services. So, this last part is again about you and how you process what you call pain and your pain words. Maybe your word's not pain, maybe it's something else. The other thing to consider is, as service providers, we can't do it the Amazon way. We cannot 2-day prime ship our gifts and services to someone, set it up in a warehouse, and then hit the OK button to get compensated. Too often, though, what I see women in service industries do is they try to sell themselves as a product, and that can't happen. There are a limited number of hours for us, which means limited inventory. Whereas people who produce products don't care how long someone interacts with the product. We as service providers have to. We have to guard our time. We have to guard our energy. We also don't get to be creator agnostic. No one knows who created the Uniball pen or the water bottle. So what that means is we've got to approach how we position ourselves in the market differently, how we brand ourselves. One of the things I challenge you to do to figure out your pain passion threshold so that you can communicate in a way that products don't is figure out what annoys me the most. What annoys you? Is this a problem you are passionate about solving, or something that just is a minor inconvenience? And what's your why now? Another question that I like to ask women is, what are you complaining about, and are you the cure? So often we are the solution to what ails us if we figure out what the root cause is to what's actually bothering us. Is it that you're hungry, or is it that you're on the wrong diet? Is it that the lighting is poor, or do you need to change a new light bulb? When you're figuring out what annoys you, is that the same annoyance your ideal clients are experiencing? If not, are those same annoyances the logic that your clients might be experiencing while they're going through something and selecting you as their ideal choice to help them alleviate it? Jay-Z said, I've got 99 problems. Well, what are those problems? What's really painful for you to watch or see or experience? How passionate are you about being the person, the go-to, the one who solves that problem? If necessary, do a list of every single pain point and see, do they overlap? Are these recurring themes? And how will that affect how you message your brand and the way you serve? So, some action steps as we wrap up. Number 1, build your me avatar, and then take those words and that language and figure out how to incorporate it into your material assets, into your LinkedIn profile, your website, etc. This is your about me. Number 2, create your simple versus easy list and then put it in the quadrants. Number 3, create your pain to passion list. Maybe rank them if you have to, couple them if needed, group them out, and figure out, is this the thing that I intend to solve? Is this what I want my brand to be known for? Number 4, write down your why now statement because, again, this is a problem that is actively being thought about by someone else. You have got to be first to market with the solution. Why now will help drive you towards that goal. And then 5, why me? What's your why me statement? Why should, with all of the options everyone else has, why should they choose you today? So that wraps us up for Evaluate Your Core. In the next session, we are going to talk about Listen Twice, and I'm going to talk about the brag book because this tool literally will change the game in how you brand, how you message, and how people view you. It is going to give them something to talk about. See you all in the next video.